Hello and welcome. Forgetting a name that's on the very tip of your tongue. Misplacing your keys only to find them in the refrigerator. Walking into a room and standing there, completely forgetting why you entered. These moments can be more than just frustrating. For many of us, they spark a quiet, persistent worry. This brings us to a question many of you have asked about a striking-looking mushroom that has gained immense popularity. Lion's mane. The title of our video asks a direct question. Can this popular mushroom really improve memory? And I want to start by acknowledging that worry. It's a deeply personal concern, tied to our identity, our independence, and our connection to the ones we love. It's perfectly okay to feel a sense of urgency, to search for answers, and for hope. To answer this question with the clarity and authority it deserves, we're going to turn to the clinical experience and scientific understanding of one of the country's leading behavioral neurologists, doctors who specialize in the very fabric of memory and cognitive health. And the answer we're going to uncover together is more profound than a simple yes or no. It's an answer that will not only demystify this popular mushroom, but will also reveal a fundamental principle of brain health that is far more powerful than any single supplement. Stay with me, because understanding this is the first step toward true empowerment. Let's begin by addressing a deeply ingrained belief in our culture. It's the common misconception that significant memory loss is an unavoidable, non-negotiable part of aging, that the brain is like a photograph that can only fade over time. A leading behavioral neurologist would tell you this is a fundamental misunderstanding. The brain is not a static photograph. Now, I understand it can be unsettling to hear that a long-held belief might not be the full story. But what I want you to remember is that this new understanding is a source of immense hope. It means you are not powerless. To illustrate this, let's consider an anonymous case from a top neurologist practice. A 72-year-old gentleman, let's call him Robert, came in deeply distressed. He had recently been diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment, or MCI, a condition that falls in the gray area between normal age-related memory changes and more serious dementia. Robert had started avoiding social gatherings for fear of forgetting names. He felt his world shrinking. He arrived at his appointment with a bag filled with supplements, including a popular lion's mane product, and he asked a question the neurologist hears all the time. "Which one of these is the magic bullet, doctor?" The neurologist noted that Robert's story is incredibly common. Patients often arrive with a solution-first mindset, searching for a single product to fix a complex problem. This is a completely human response to feeling afraid and wanting to regain control. But the expert's first step wasn't to look in the bag of supplements. It was to assess the soil of Robert's brain health, his diet, his sleep, his stress levels, his daily activity. A neurologist's foundational insight is this: a supplement is only as good as the environment it's placed in. The most potent seed cannot grow in barren ground. Before we can ask what a single mushroom can do for us, we must first ask if we've created an environment where our brain can thrive. This shift in perspective is the most important first step. With that foundational insight in mind, let's return to Robert's question and look inside that bag. Let's examine the first evidence-based strategy, understanding precisely what lion's mane is and how to select it intelligently. For centuries, this mushroom, known scientifically as Hericium erinaceus, has been used in traditional Asian medicine. But modern science is now beginning to uncover the why behind this tradition. Researchers have identified two special families of compounds unique to this mushroom: hericenones and erinacines. Think of your brain's nerve cells, your neurons. To communicate, learn, and form memories, they need to reach out and form connections with each other. This intricate process is supported by a crucial protein called nerve growth factor, or NGF. According to exciting research from institutions like the University of Queensland, the unique compounds in lion's mane appear to stimulate the body's own production of NGF. Using incredibly powerful super-resolution microscopy, scientists have actually watched this happen in laboratory settings. They observed that these compounds encourage neurons to send out new projections. And crucially, they saw an increase in the size of what are called growth cones, the very tips of the nerve endings that sense the surrounding environment and forge new connections with other neurons. More connections and stronger connections are the physical basis of a robust memory. Now, here is a critical piece of information that a neurologist would want their patient to know, and it's where many well-intentioned people make a mistake. Not all lion's mane supplements are created equal. The mushroom has two main parts: the fruiting body, that's the shaggy, visible mushroom we recognize, and the mycelium, the intricate root-like network that grows beneath the surface. The science shows that the hericenones are primarily found in the fruiting body, while the erinacines are found in the mycelium. This might sound simple, but here is the problem that affects the vast majority of products on the market. Most commercial mycelium is grown on a grain substrate, like rice or oats. In many cases, this grain is not fully consumed by the mycelium and is then ground up and included in the final product. This means you could be buying a supplement that is mostly starchy grain filler, not the active mushroom compounds you're paying for. So, what is the practical, evidence-based advice? A clinical expert would advise focusing on supplements made from 100% fruiting body extract. This is the form that has been used in a number of the key human studies, and it ensures you are getting the mushroom itself, not the grain it was grown on. For any supplement you consider, look for a product that is third-party tested for purity and potency, and that clearly states 100% fruiting body on the label. I know this can seem complex, and it can be frustrating to realize the market is so confusing, but this knowledge is your power. You are now equipped to make a more informed choice than 99% of consumers. So you've navigated the confusing marketplace and chosen a high-quality, fruiting body extract. The second evidence-based strategy, which a neurologist would emphasize just as strongly, is consistent and patient application. Lion's mane supplements are most commonly available as powders or capsules. The powder form generally has a mild, slightly earthy taste and can be easily stirred into your morning coffee, tea, or a smoothie. Capsules simply offer convenience. The delivery method is less important than the daily consistency. When it comes to dosage, human clinical trials have explored a range, typically between 1 gram and 3 grams per day. For instance, a notable 2009 Japanese study conducted on older adults with mild cognitive impairment used a dose of 3 grams per day, taken as tablets. More recently, a 2020 study on individuals with mild Alzheimer's disease found significant improvements in cognitive scores after supplementing with 1 gram daily for 49 weeks. As with any supplement, the correct starting point for you is a conversation to be had with your own trusted healthcare provider. Now, a common and perfectly reasonable question that arises here is, how long does it take to work? This is where we must manage our expectations with scientific realism. This is not a pain reliever that works in 30 minutes. We are talking about supporting a fundamental biological process of nerve growth and connection. That takes time. While some individuals report feeling subtle effects like improved focus within a couple of weeks, the clinical studies provide a much clearer and more reliable timeline. In that 2009 Japanese trial, Statistically significant improvements in cognitive function were noted at the 8, 12, and 16-week marks. This tells us that consistent use over at least 2 to 4 months is what the science points to for seeing a measurable benefit. And this is where many people give up. They try it for a month, don't feel a dramatic overnight change, and conclude that it doesn't work. It's an understandable reaction in our world of instant gratification, but a neurologist would ask you to reframe this. The slow, gradual nature of the process is actually a sign that something real and foundational may be happening. It's not a temporary patch. It's also critically important to be aware of another finding from that same study. 4 weeks after the participants stopped taking the supplement, their cognitive scores began to decline again, returning closer to where they were at the start. This doesn't mean the mushroom failed. It suggests that, like watering a plant, the brain requires ongoing support. For any benefits to be maintained, supplementation must likely be continuous, as part of a long-term commitment to your brain's health. Let's pause and take a breath. We've covered a great deal of ground. We started with the common and very valid worry about our memory. We dismantled the myth of inevitable decline and replaced it with the neurologist's hopeful view of the brain as a dynamic, growing forest. We then learned how to intelligently select and patiently use a potential tool, lion's mane, to support that natural growth. It's crucial to see how these ideas connect. The neurologist's insight into neuroplasticity is the why we should even try. And the strategy of using lion's mane is one potential how, one way to provide the raw materials to support that natural process. They are not separate ideas, but a system. The mushroom may provide the building blocks, but the brain must be in a state where it can actually use them. And for staying with me through this level of detail, I want to commend you. This demonstrates a deep commitment to your own health, and that commitment is the most powerful tool of all. But what if we could go even deeper? What if, beyond providing the building blocks, we could fundamentally improve the condition of the entire forest? What if we could create an internal environment that not only welcomes these new connections, but actively cleans up the debris that holds back growth? This brings us to the second half of our journey. Because the true secret to unlocking the potential of not just lion's mane, but of your brain itself, lies not in a single supplement, but in a single, unifying principle that governs how our bodies age. Understanding this is the difference between simply taking a supplement and truly transforming your brain health for the long term. To understand this unifying principle, we need to look at the elegant machinery operating inside our own cells. A top behavioral neurologist, when aiming for true long-term results, thinks beyond symptoms and focuses on the fundamental processes of aging. Let's use an analogy. Imagine your body is a bustling workshop. Inside this workshop, there are two main teams. The first is team growth. This team is constantly building things, new proteins, new cells. It's essential for repair and maintenance. This team is directed by powerful signaling pathways with names like mTOR and IGF-1. When you eat, especially protein and carbohydrates, you are sending a loud and clear message to the workshop. Team growth, get to work. But there's another equally important team, team cleanup. This team's job is to move through the workshop and identify old, broken, or malfunctioning parts, damaged proteins, worn-out cellular components, and break them down for recycling. This vital recycling process is called autophagy, which literally means self-eating. It keeps the workshop clean, efficient, and prevents the buildup of dangerous junk that can impair function. Here is the crucial point that modern science has revealed. only one team can really be in charge at a time. When team growth is working at full capacity, team cleanup is on a break. In our modern world, with food constantly available, 3 meals, plus snacks in between, team growth is almost always on the clock. This means the essential, deep cleaning work of autophagy rarely gets a chance to happen. Scientists now believe that this chronic suppression of our cellular cleanup crew and the resulting accumulation of cellular junk is a key driver of the aging process itself. So what happens when you start to create conditions that give team cleanup more time to work? What will you feel? The initial benefits you notice aren't always a dramatic improvement in memory recall. According to clinical experience, it's often more subtle. You might feel a lift in a persistent low mood or a reduction in feelings of anxiety. You might notice you have more sustained, stable energy throughout the day, or that the persistent feeling of brain fog finally begins to clear. These are often the very first signs that your cellular workshop is becoming cleaner, more efficient, and more resilient. So we arrive at the heart of the matter. We've seen the tool, lion's mane. We've seen the deep cellular mechanism of cleanup and repair. Now we reveal the unifying principle that brings it all together into a powerful strategy for health. The single most powerful principle for long-term brain health is this: adopt an eating pattern that creates the ideal environment for your brain to protect, repair, and regenerate itself. This isn't about a fad diet for weight loss. It's a pattern of eating distilled from decades of research into the world's longest-lived, cognitively sharpest populations, the people living in what are called the blue zones, and the groundbreaking work of leading longevity scientists like Dr. Walter Longo at the University of Southern California. First, they are predominantly plant-based. Meals are built around a rich variety of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and especially legumes, like beans, lentils, and chickpeas. These foods are packed with fiber, vitamins, and anti-inflammatory and antioxidant compounds that protect our cells. Second, protein intake is sufficient, but not excessive. With legumes serving as a primary protein source, these diets naturally avoid keeping that growth signal, mTOR, switched on all the time, which allows for more cleanup time. Now here is a crucial nuance that a true expert would emphasize for our audience. Longevity researchers like Dr. Longo specifically advise that after age 65, protein intake should be slightly increased to help preserve precious muscle mass. This means more consciously including fish, eggs, and white meat alongside plant-based proteins. This is a perfect example of how guidance should be tailored to our stage of life. Third, healthy fats are staples. These diets are rich in fats from olive oil, nuts, seeds, and the omega-3s found in fatty fish like salmon and sardines. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, they naturally incorporate periods of rest for the digestive system. For many, this simply means eating all of their meals within a 12-hour window each day. For example, between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. This simple practice gives the cleanup crew of autophagy a dedicated 12-hour shift to work every single night. When you begin to adopt these principles, you are no longer just taking a supplement and hoping for the best. You are fundamentally changing the environment in which your brain operates. You are turning down the dial on chronic inflammation. You are giving your cells the time and the resources to clean house and repair damage. You are creating the fertile ground where a tool like lion's mane has the greatest possible chance to help support the growth of that vibrant, interconnected neural forest. This is how you move from playing defense against memory loss to playing offense for lifelong brain health. So where do we begin? A neurologist would not ask you to change everything overnight. That approach is a recipe for failure. The goal is gentle, consistent progress. Here is a simple 4-point action plan to get started. 1. Start with one meal. Don't try to overhaul your entire diet tomorrow. Just focus on making one meal a day align with these longevity principles. Perhaps it's a large salad for lunch with chickpeas, nuts, and a variety of colorful vegetables, dressed in olive oil, or a hearty vegetable and lentil soup for dinner. 2. Consider your eating window. Before you even change what you eat, you can change when you eat. Simply try to confine all your eating to a 12-hour period each day. This alone is a powerful step that gives your cellular cleanup crew more time to work. 3. If you and your doctor decide to explore lion's mane, do so intelligently. Choose a high-quality, third-party tested, 100% fruiting body extract. And be patient. Give it at least 3 to 4 months of consistent use. 4. And most importantly, practice self-compassion. There will be days you get off track. That is not a failure. You are not alone on this journey. This is about building a foundation for health, brick by brick. Be patient with yourself. You now have the knowledge. You have the power to make these small, meaningful changes. Thank you for your time and for your deep attention today. It is a privilege to share this information with you. Now, I would love to hear from you. The journey to better health is a shared one, and we can learn so much from each other. In the comments below, please don't just share what supplements you take. Tell us, beyond supplements, what is one small change you've made for your brain health that has brought you a sense of well-being or clarity? Your experience could be the very thing that inspires someone else to take their first step. Remember, knowledge is the first step, but compassionate action is what transforms our health. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. If you found this information valuable, please consider liking this video and sharing it with someone you care about. And subscribe for more deep dives into the science of healthy aging.